Get ready for one of Marvel's oddest team-ups when one of the Guardians of the Galaxy is hired by the ruler of Latveria to assist in the creation of a special device. Can two odd Marvel characters solve the mysteries of the universe without driving each other crazy? Let's find out in our review of Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon #1 from Marvel Comics. See you in 3. Welcome back to Comical Opinions. This is our review of Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon #1 from Marvel Comics and writer J. Michael Straczynski. The issue begins with Doctor Doom overseeing his Doombots as they work through the creation of a special device. The work goes well up to a certain point, but the build repeatedly ends in an explosive disaster. On one rainy night in Latveria, Rocket Raccoon taps on that castle door and arrives in response to Doom's summons, and with the promise of a hefty fee, decides to lend his technical genius to help Doom out. Now you may ask yourself, what on earth could Doctor Doom possibly want Rocket Raccoon to assist with? What is he building? Well, it turns out Doctor Doom is building a time machine. But here's the twist. It's not just any time machine. He's building a time machine designed to go back to the point of creation before the Big Bang, which means, in effect, Doom needs help building a time machine that can travel to a place before time existed, which is no small feat. Now you may ask yourself again, why on earth would Doctor Doom want to go back to a point before the creation of the universe and before there was such a thing as time? Well, it's a simple question, and it's one that probably, unfortunately, doesn't have an easy answer. He wants to find the answer to the same question every living person, thing, animal, alien, entity, what have you, asks at least once in their life. Why are we here? Rocket Raccoon, who never turns down endless food and massive money, agrees to help him. Doom and Rocket spend days working together through the technical calculations and magical spells necessary to complete the build. Most of the magic is on Doom's side, most of the technology is on Rocket's side. Eventually, of course, it's Rocket who stumbles upon the conceptual secret that makes the machine possible. The universe is built on time, but time flows in accordance with entropy, which is the dissolution of order. So they have to build a machine that doesn't travel through time, it travels through entropy. It makes sense when you read the comic. With the flick of a switch, Doom and Rocket slip through space, time, reality, and creation until they reach the point before everything begins. What do they find? I'm not going to spoil it here, but they do find an answer, and it's almost kind of satisfying in a way, depends on your point of view, but it's definitely not what you would suspect. Hey, do you want to be part of our growing community and get exclusive perks? Become a channel member today. By becoming a member, you'll support a channel you love, which is ours because everybody loves it, but you'll also gain access to special badges, emojis, and members-only content. Click the join button below to become part of our family and help us create more of the content you enjoy. Now let's get back to the review. And that's the issue, so let's talk about impressions, art, positives, negatives, etc. Just going in, just put it out there, I honestly didn't know what to expect with this one shot. And you're probably asking yourself, well, is it a comedy? Is it like slapstick? Is it serious? What is it trying to be? And I think that's where some folks may either love it or in some cases may even hate it. J. Michael Straczynski and even the editors, they get in on the act, insert a fair number of jokes to offset the serious philosophical tone of the subject matter. So how much or how little you enjoy this issue is kind of going to be up to you. It's one of those types of deals. Let's switch gears and talk about the art for a second. We have artist Will Robson and colors by Andrew Dahlhaus. They do a commendable job of presenting a pair of characters who could not be more different while they work together towards some common goal here, in this case building the time machine. Admittedly, the issue I think most people are going to have with this issue is that Rocket's design and figure work comes off as cartoonish for most of the time compared to Doom's more rigid and typically imposing frame. So you sometimes feel there's an inconsistency in how seriously you should take this issue. As with the script, this will be rated high or low depending on your tastes. It all sort of mashes together. All right, let's switch over to positives and negatives, starting with what's great about Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon #1. Underneath the sporadically cartoonish art and humor, Doctor Doom embarks on a thought-provoking journey to answer one of life's greatest mysteries, ending in a, to be fair, thought-provoking answer with a little bit of a twist. Purely as a one-shot to give readers something different than the typical Marvel fare, you're likely to get some entertainment value out of this issue, even if it just comes off as a little bit weird and in some cases goofy. But in this case, The goofy makes sense for the characters when you consider the situation they've put themselves in. That brings us to what's not great about Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon number 1. If you hadn't heard it peppered through the description, it's the inconsistency in the sporadic way it's applied that holds the issue back from great to just okay. Sometimes the jokes are over-the-top slapstick. Sometimes they're wordplay bits like you would see in an Abbott and Costello skit, or Laurel and Hardy, or in some cases even Three Stooges. Kids, if you're listening to this and you have no idea what I'm talking about, go ask your mom and dad. They'll know what that means. Sometimes the story hits a dead serious note, as with the answer that Doom eventually receives in his search to answer the greatest question of all time. In short, the tone is very chaotic, so you get a little whiplash as the story zigs and zags from one style to the next, from one tone and form of atmosphere to the next. It's all over the place. You get a little bit of everything. That may work in some cases, but here it just feels like I know this phrase gets overused, but it feels like the comic just doesn't know what it wants to be. Final thoughts, what do we think about Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon number 1? It's an oddly inconsistent yet strangely somewhat amusing one-shot that finds Doctor Doom hiring Rocket Raccoon to build a machine to answer the greatest question in the universe. J. Michael Straczynski's imaginative script ultimately leads to thought-provoking concepts with an interesting resolution, but you may find yourself suffering from tonal whiplash by the end when the issue can't decide if it's trying to be funny, serious, or both all at once. Therefore, we're going to give Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon number 1 the benefit of the doubt and say that this issue earns a 7.5 out of 10. This is just kind of a weird, oddball kind of issue, but it's a one-shot. It's meant to be unique or different or put two unlikely characters together, and I think it ultimately pays off, but it's just a little bit too weird, I think, for you to kind of get your hands around what it's trying to do. But what do you think? Are you liking the idea of weird, oddball pair-ups between two characters that you would never think to put together? Leave a thumbs up if you found this review helpful, and drop a comment below with which oddball pair-up you'd like to see that is definitely outside the norm. Also, remember to click on the link in the description to read the written review, check out the variant covers and preview pages, and buy this comic to help support the channel. Your support, of course, is greatly appreciated. And don't forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, please click on the subscribe button below. So thank you very much for joining, and stay tuned through the outro for more reviews just like this one.